Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Fake Music Only podcast, the best podcast online for discussing all things EDM. I'm your host, Cole, aka the Big Finicheti, and unfortunately, my co-host, Amn3sia, is not here for this episode, but that's fine, he'll be here for the next one. In the meantime, we do have a guest. You know him for literally inventing news, which is just the basic spreading of facts and information, and also for running a YouTube channel with 6K dead subs. How you doing, man? None of them are alive.
Yeah, they're 6 feet under. No, yeah, it's a great time here. It's great to be here, Mr. Finicheti. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We don't know each other at all. We weren't talking for 20 minutes before this
About Galaga.
Yeah. Yeah, why would we be talking about an old game like that? That's not relevant.
Yeah.
But
totally not relevant.
Yeah, so I run this podcast. Safe to say, I listen to a fair amount of electronic music. But what about you? What do you typically listen to, like, in your free time?
Well, not electronic music. As I was telling Mr. Finicheti here, I am one of the most underqualified people that could be on here. However, I'm gonna do my best here to fit in. Normally, I mostly just listen to quite a bit of hip hop, some old rock, stuff like that. Quite a variety. I don't really rule anything out, but yeah, electronic music is not exactly my forte. So I'll do my best here.
Yeah, that's totally okay. We're gonna make it work. We do actually have a hip hop album on here to kind of balance things out just a little bit. I know that's not what everyone listens to this podcast for, but in case you really don't want to hear about that, we do have timestamps in the description. I know I mentioned that last time, but in case you didn't see that one, bam, there they are. So if you want to just jump around, feel free. But yeah, in the meantime, we do have a pretty good list here because we've been gone for like 2 months. I know we didn't bring that up until now, but yeah, a lot of stuff is released since then. I've tried to keep everything like at least semi-relevant today, like semi-recent. But yeah, like speaking of our absence, like we were gone for 2 months because college got really busy for me, and Amn3sia was in his junior year of high school. I think he just finished it up. And junior year is really difficult. Everyone knows that. But yeah, now that it's summer again, we should hopefully be getting episodes out at a better pace this time around. We actually have a guest lined up already for the next one, so yeah, stay tuned. This podcast has not died yet. But yeah, in the meantime, we do have a shit ton of pretty solid EPs. Got one EDM album from a large artist. Amn3sia, considering the fact that you know nothing about like the background of most of these, where do you think we should start out? Where do you think we should start?
Well, I guess the logical way would probably be to talk about the singles and then work your way up to the album, but that's just how I go about it. You're the host here. I'm just here.
Okay, let's narrow it down to the EPs. I like doing the singles in the middle.
All right, sure.
Most of the time. Which one do you prefer?
Which one would be my favorite?
You know what, actually, yeah. Which one is your favorite? Let's start off relatively positive.
Bass Buddies.
Bass Buddies. All right, Bandlez.
Saying that out loud just sounds so weird.
Bass Buddies. It's with a Z.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Bass Buddies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some background on Bandlez, I guess. We talked about their last EP, which was on Disciple, as well. We talked about that in one of our first episodes. I forget which one it was. But yeah, it's a duo. They did split up, but they got back together for this project. And for their last EP, I think the consensus was we were, happy that they were trying out a bunch of different genres with each track, but the ideas weren't really fully formed. It felt like you could add a lot to the tracks. And the general consensus on Bandlez as a whole are that like if you look at each of their songs individually, they're pretty solid. But they do make a lot of the same stuff, I guess. A lot of their stuff sounds really samey. They use the same sounds and bass patterns. So I was kind of curious what we were gonna get with this one. So I was just rambling. Bobby, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, first of all, just a little comment on that thing about things sounding samey. That's kind of one of my main problems. Not even just specifically with this project, although I think that it does kind of sound the same. Which I really didn't find that as a negative. I'll actually talk about how that was kind of a positive. But yeah, basically, that's my problem. Like with a lot of these albums, for me in my mind, it's hard for me to find electronic albums that can really track by track kind of stand out from the other tracks. But yeah, with this, I don't really think that it's necessarily too much of an exception. However, I think that the sound managed to stay diverse enough, but at the same time carry this kind of general sound, with these weird textures. The second track, I'd say that the wubs are bubbling, but it's more like they're wobbling. And then this is where
You really followed through with that.
Yeah, I was kind of hyping that up, and no, but seriously though, yeah, the second track is great. First track, just pretty much the entire thing I found pretty solid. Like I said, a lot of these interesting, bubbly textures and stuff. It has bangers galore, and a lot of them, follow kind of the same structure.
Yeah, like intro, build up, drop.
Which I mean, I guess that for what it is, I think that it pulled it off pretty well, and I was quite pleased with it. And it, like I said, it ended up being my favorite EP out of the three. So.
Nice. It's kind of interesting to hear you talk about this because bass music EPs are kind of like just super common. Like albums don't get released nearly as much as EPs. So like just bass music EPs like it's always searching through the ones that are out currently and picking one. I like that you mentioned textures a lot as well, because that's kind of how I feel about a lot of their basses, like in in Together Again and like Weeble Wobble, like the basses feel like they have a texture to them, like not like physically, but they feel kind of bumpy,
auditory.
Yeah. And overall, I think those are the tracks I liked the most off this thing. Together Again is easily my favorite. I think like the build-up's actually catchy, and I don't ever feel inclined to skip it or anything like that. And the drops are diverse enough. They don't really they repeat with a slight twist, which I'm fine with. It's better than just having repeat drops. Space Bubbles is, I think, the track that you were
I found that quite that and even Stupid, and we, like I said, pretty much every track feels quite solid to me, and the entire thing, it doesn't overstay its welcome, obviously, as an EP, which, like you said, they're very common. I didn't really realize how common they were in electronic music, because even hip hop has a few EPs and stuff, but most of the time, you're hearing about these new studio albums in pretty much every genre of music. So it's quite interesting to see how many EPs there are, which I feel works pretty well for electronic music compared to other genres, because a lot of times when I'm listening to longer projects, it'll kind of get it feels like there isn't a lot that ends up being done in some longer projects that end up really keeping that energy and that diversity throughout the entire project. So 16 minutes or so for this, I think that it was a pretty enjoyable listen, and I'd probably go back and listen again.
Nice. I do agree with your consensus just on EPs in general. Because with electronic music, albums are a little more difficult because you have to come up with new ideas and new sounds if you don't want it to be a tedious listen. But a 4 or 5 track EP is a good way for an artist to push a sound, a certain type of sound, without it overstaying its welcome. And that's why albums are kind of they're seen as a big deal. Like if an artist is releasing an album, it's that's really them kind of stepping up and being like, okay, this is what I put a lot of effort into. But you don't see them that much. Like with rock bands and stuff, AC/DC's got 17 albums or whatever the fuck.
Just don't get me started on the Rolling Stones,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. But with modern like EDM producers, you'll typically only see one or two albums, at least so far. Even Skrillex only has two like full length albums out right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to Bandlez, I guess for a second, just so I can finish up my thoughts.
Yeah.
I liked Together Again and Beeble Wobble. Space Bubbles, I almost like, like
Wow.
I kind of do, because the sound that's used is, you know, very wonky and it's cool, but it's
almost like your opinion.
but no, I know I like your opinion, because it is a fun track, but like I just don't feel like the one sound that's used throughout the drop is enough to carry it all the way through. I would have liked some sort of variation on it.
That's understandable.
In the second or third drop. But like yeah, like it's a great idea. I just wish they expanded upon it a bit more. And then, like, you know, Stupid and Low End Theory, I find kind of forgettable. But that's probably just because I listen to a lot of this stuff. Whereas for you, like, a lot of this stuff is, you know, kind of out of left field. So yeah. But yeah, I'm not crazy positive on this EP, but it's definitely enjoyable. Like you said, there's just bangers galore here. But I don't know if I don't think I'll ever listen to this project in full again, but I'm definitely gonna listen through Together Again for a while. That's like, that got added to my playlist and shit.
Yeah.
So if you've liked Bandlez historically, then definitely check out Together Again. And probably Space Bubbles too, because most people like that track. I'm definitely in the minority there. But and if you haven't heard Bandlez before, I'd recommend checking this out, because it is a pretty good collection just of their it's a good idea of what they're about, in terms of what they typically put out.
Where would you say that this ranks compared to their, like, I don't know any other their other projects? Would you say that this is like an improvement?
Well, they had I definitely say it's an improvement on Spy Kids. That's their last EP. I haven't heard The Heist, which was their first one. I think that was on Firepower Records. I don't know, but yeah, Spy Kids was interesting. To hear like a dubstep producer basically like make house and festival trap, and you know, Moombacore I think was on there too, like just a lot of weird shit, like only one dubstep track. That was interesting, but that was also when it was only that was also when it was a solo project, and I think that also contributed to some of the, I guess, weaker sound design. So yeah, I definitely say this is an improvement over that. Definitely a more solid project. It's got a fun name, Bass Buddies. That's cool.
Bass Buddies.
Yeah, Bass Buddies.
You really gotta hold that Z out, you know?
Yeah. Z.
I don't know. I think that's pretty much all that I had to say on it. Like I said, I'd say it's probably my favorite EP out of the three that we had. Although I think that it's really close to turn off the lights.
All right. In that case, let's talk about your least favorite.
Oh, all right.
let's talk about side B.
Side B.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So, I obviously didn't hear side A before going into this, so I chose to listen to side A, even though I figured that it wouldn't really matter. Although I'm kind of glad that I did, because I don't know if it's just that it was kind of starting to bore me after listening to so much or what, but I found side A to be quite a bit more enjoyable than side B. I didn't really record any of my specific thoughts on side A. However, I felt that side B, I don't know, the first couple of tracks just kind of, they felt like they didn't really go anywhere. They kind of bored me. Third track, I did like that. What was the third track here?
Was that Another Day?
Another Day, yeah, Another Day. That was pretty nice. I like the vocals sprinkled throughout there. Some great bass all throughout the track. The fourth track kind of ended up feeling sort of like, I don't know, a little bit too much like Another Day. What Happened? Kind of just without the vocals, which I thought added a lot of personality to Another Day. Yeah, I mean the bass though, the bass, bro, on on track 3 and 4, kind of definitely very hard hitting, and I think on What Happened track 4, ended up saving it a little bit. So I don't know. I like those, but I was just comparing it to side A the whole time, and maybe I shouldn't be doing that, but I don't know. It just kind of made it feel a little bit disappointing going, directly from side A straight into side B.
That's interesting because I actually prefer side B to side A.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. Also, I think it's kind of funny that we're talking about this project now, and we were just talking about like EPs versus albums. And this is very like purposefully like Matroda made 8 tracks. Instead of putting it out in like an album that would have gotten tedious, he just he split it up in a 2 4-track EPs.
That is true.
Yeah. But yeah. Matroda I've always been kind of iffy on. I'm a huge fan of Bass House, which is what he makes, but instead of being like super energetic, Matroda's tends to be more like his style tends to be more minimal, and he lets the bass do a lot of the talking, I guess, with some sound design kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, he it's been interesting because we've been kind of watching him perfect this formula, because he put out an EP on Monster Cat last year, I think, called Shut It Down, and that project had some good ideas, but it wound up feeling kind of boring. Whereas with the Red Tape, side A and side B, I think he's kind of closer to perfecting that sort of minimal bass house. In terms of the tracks that I liked on here, I liked Bang, which was the first one. It was with Dances with White Girls, and I think he did a great job with the vocals, which I know were, not really too present, but I think they were exactly what they needed to be. And like, placed very deliberately. Another Day might actually be my least favorite because it it does bang. Like the sounds used are really crazy and take like overtaking, but the vocals just don't really do it for me.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason they I don't know, they feel kind of cheesy, and maybe it kind of conflicts with the not the theme, but it just conflicts with the vibe of the rest of the EP. Yeah. I feel like
so you feel like it kind of doesn't feel like it fits properly.
Yeah, because this kind of feels like very underground, clubby sort of stuff.
See, it's funny that you say that, because I think that might be why it's one of my favorites. Because since I didn't end up caring too much for some of the other tracks, I felt like it stood out to me, which could be the exact reason that you don't like it, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Huh. Yeah, I mean, anything that stands out that helps a track, I think. But I think my favorite thing on this by far is probably What Happened, which is the last track.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's just so fucking weird. It like Matroda throws in a bunch of sounds that sound really neat, and they're only there for like a couple seconds, or it's like for one one roll.
Yeah.
Or like it's used twice, like one in each drop or whatever. But yeah, it's some of the weirdest shit that I've heard from Matroda, and just from Bass House in general. So I'm very appreciative of him just kind of branching out and just trying new shit. I saw someone else talk about this EP, and he said it was probably like the furthest thing from music he's heard in a while, but it's great. I think that's a pretty good description of it. But yeah, it's kind of hard for me to recommend this thing because it is like I don't know, kind of niche. But if you've liked Matroda's stuff historically, then I'd say you'll like this even more. And also, if you're just into Bass House, then you should check it out. Yeah, I'd say I'd say I like this more than Bass Buddies, just because it's much more unique. I think. But
I mean, I don't really know exactly what unique even is in this. I guess that I'm kind of new to all of it, so I'm just kind of absorbing it from a newcomer's perspective. So Um, that's understandable, I guess. I just don't know if I'm. You called it bass house?
Yeah, it's like bass house is typically super energetic, but this is like slow and brooding. I think a lot of people call this G house, but I'm not entirely sure what defines that subgenre compared to bass house. I don't know. It's
I
weird.
can't even begin to comprehend.
You'd know though, right?
1400. Yeah, yeah. I just know, bro. No, I don't know if I'm just like a fan of house music. I heard it like many years ago, when I was more into electronic music than anything else, because of Geometry Dash and the Skrillex song in the Black Ops 2 map. But
oh my god, try it out. I forgot about that song.
the curtain just fell. But yeah, yeah. I just don't know if it's really really my favorite genre, I guess, or subgenre.
That's kind of interesting to me because house might be like the most diverse genre that I like that I know of, because there's like when you say house, it could mean fucking anything. Like I could list off a shit ton of subgenres right now.
Yeah, I mean,
and
just
that
taking
ranges,
it from this, you know.
Yeah, like that ranges from like old Skrillex stuff, you know, like really heavy stuff, to this, to a lot of Daft Punk, like French house and all that. So like I'm, you know, I feel like we're probably gonna talk about a track that you liked, and I'll be like, yeah, that's house later on at some point.
Most likely.
Like, yeah, like that's probably gonna happen.
Like I said, just taking it like from this and some of the stuff that I've heard in the past, I remember like, I mean, even back then, I didn't really like, I didn't know enough to kind of think. I just heard sound and go, ooh, I like those sound, or ooh, I do not like those sound. So I guess I didn't really pay too much attention to it. So yeah, I mean, it's very possible. You know, I'm not going to write it off or anything because, you know, I don't think it's up to my small brain to do it when it comes to this stuff. But just from the red tape, you know, I like I said, I really like side A actually, quite a bit, and then some of side B. Maybe I'll re-listen to it with a more educated mind.
I'm wondering if you liked side A more just because like you weren't tired of listening to Matroda by the time side B came around.
What I'm thinking too.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Sure.
Who knows? Speaking of your small brain or whatever, I think you said that.
Yeah, something like that.
Let's I think it's your turn to just talk about music a shit ton, and for me to feel outclassed. So Denzel Curry, Zoo. That's how you pronounce it, right? It's not like Z. That'd be weird.
My knuckles here. No, I think it's pronounced Zoo. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I guess yeah. You know, I'm gonna start with this one because I know you're gonna go on. Yeah. So EDM is obviously kind of more my thing, but I do listen to a decent amount of hip hop, just usually not like full length projects or anything like that. But in terms of rap artists, Denzel Curry is one that's been on my radar more than usual. Like obviously Ultimate was a big meme back in the day, but like beyond that, he did a track with Prom Night called Gunsmoke, and that's like I fucking love that track to this day. And he also did a collaboration with Akali, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But yeah, he did a track called Babylon, and that was fucking massive, and like Skrillex did a remix of that and everything. So, you know, so Denzel's been on my radar, but I've never sat down and listened to one of his albums until now. And it's hard for me to, you know, analyze this. I didn't pay too close attention to the, you know, wordplay and lyrics and, you know, whatever intricacies there are in hip hop that I'm not aware of, but you know, this album for the most part fucking bangs.
It really does.
Yeah, like Ricky, I know that's the, you know, the single that came out beforehand, but that might be my favorite off this.
Understandable.
Like the lyrics in that specifically, I really enjoyed. Speedboat also I think came out before the album, and I'm more iffy on that. And I think that's probably mostly because the beat's a little off, or at least it seems kind of off to me, like with the piano or whatever. But for like other tracks I was into, Pat hit really fucking hard.
Dude.
Yeah, and so did Birds. Also like the Yo interlude. That was funny. That was funny as fuck.
It really was. Yo.
Yeah, because like I don't know if that was staged or if they just recorded a phone call, but like I know, I know people that talk sort of like that. Like obviously not to that extent, but you know, yeah. So yeah, I mostly just enjoyed the bangers on this. Although Wish is also really nice. I like that. But yeah, like this is something I'd consider re-listening. Because it is like it's relatively short. Like for an album, and the tracks hit fucking hard. So yeah, I'm okay with this. Yeah, success. Well, okay, your turn.
Well, let me crack the knuckles, crack the back, crack the neck. Ow! I think I just broke my neck. No, so yeah, first of all, I'm just gonna say, because you talked about Ultimate, I obviously, like everybody, heard that song being memed and everything, but I didn't know that was Denzel until like I'm just like, all right. I think it was around the time maybe Taboo came out or something, and I like go and I'm like, all right, Ultimate, what's this? Most listened to track, and I play it, and my mind is just instantly melting. I'm like, he did this track. I didn't even know. But yeah, so this doesn't help my point of trying to act like I'm super big brain. But I've well that too, but I've ironically never listened to a full Denzel album before this either, which is really I hate myself for it every day because every day I hear about how great Taboo is, and a lot of people listen to that and talked about how great it is. And I've listened to a few songs from it, but like every time I'm just like, all right, I hear that this album is, this conceptual piece of work, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to try to just listen to it front to back, So I'm not going to save any of the songs. I'm not going to re-listen, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to go front to back. And I still haven't because I'm so incredibly lazy and I keep putting it off and just to listen to like whatever other albums and stuff. But yeah, I've heard from what I've heard from Denzel, before. He is certainly, an artist that has interested me. His R.I.P. to R.I.P. Freestyle or whatever, the remix of the, I think it was a Playboi Carti song or whatever. I absolutely loved that, and that wasn't even officially on streaming services, that was just, kind of a one-off thing. Okay, can you be a little bit more loud? So it certainly made me interested in him. So when I first listened to Zoo, this was the first album that I heard from him. Obviously, it had just came out, so I was interested. I was like, all right, I'm going to actually sit down and listen to this while it's relevant. I heard Ricky first when it dropped, and that was great. Our good friend Zenith didn't really care too much for that, which surprised me quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, because it was quite the banger. It was a banger, a little bit of some awkward flows, like here when he's just like something about had your back regardless or something, like a little bit awkward. I don't know if that could have taken like a retake or if it's just like me looking too much into it. But other than like that,
I know he did freestyle a lot of this album.
Yeah.
So maybe it was that he just didn't stick the landing.
Mm-hmm. Which I mean, it doesn't really throw it off too much. Like that hook is great, stuff like that. Speedboat that dropped, that was great. I probably prefer Speedboat. I don't know, dude. They're both so great. One of my flaws, I know that Mr. Needle Drop talked about this a little bit in his review about how the Bushy Bee interlude, yo, and Blackland 66.6, they all kind of end up in that second half, and it makes her kind of an awkward like little thing. Like Fantano said, I was kind of thinking like, why not disperse these a little bit more evenly? But small complaint, I guess, because I thought like looking at the track list, I was like, all right, a minute interlude, and then a minute skit, and then a little good, and then a little bit later that Blackland 66.6 thing. So I'm like, like is it? By the time I got to the second half of the album, I'm just thinking, this is going to be like so awkward and like uneventful in the second half. But I was wrong, dude. Once I got to like Carol Mart and Shake 88, Jesus Christ, and Pat, all bangers, dude. Carol Mart, oh my god, I love that pitch shifted hook. Shake 88 with just these intense beats, you know, with hard hitting bass and everything all throughout. Makes for quite the banger. And the beginning of the album too, like it has Ricky, okay, it has Ricky and Speedboat and everything. So, you know, it's cool. It's a nice little album. I can't say if it's better than Taboo or Imperial or any of his previous projects, but I'm quite liking it and re-listening to it quite a bit. So yeah, that's
nice.
Pretty much all I have to say.
I have a correct opinion. That's cool.
You know what? No problem, man.
Big brain opinion. Big brain opinion.
Yeah. The question is
also with all the interludes in the second half, Yo counts as a full track, so I don't really see the problem here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo counts as the best track on the album.
It should be pronounced you. Looking at it,
it's pronounced yo.
You.
Yo. Yo.
You. Oh damn it.
Timestamp that just exactly. We say yo too many times.
Fuck, I might have to do that now. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm. It's interesting that Taboo is something that you haven't heard yet too.
It is.
But then again, that came out like just last year, so it's, you know, it's whatever. It's fine. Yeah.
I mean, like everybody was saying it was one of the best albums of the year and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll get to it one day. And I just still haven't. Which, you know, being, you know, casually homeless, you would have thought that I would have, you know, used my time to do things, but
that,
you know.
That actually happens to me a lot. There's a ton of like classic albums that I just oh no. Dude, I wish. No, but yeah, no, like there's a ton of classic albums that I just haven't heard. Like most of Justice's discography, if you know them, like the guys that made the Cross album. I haven't heard like
yeah,
you know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like there's a bunch of old shit that I haven't listened to, even though like people are like 10 out of 10, best electronic album. I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. But yeah, it happens.
Trust me, I'm the same exact way.
Nice.
I mean, when you think about it, like I don't know about electronic music, like, but in the like old rock music is one of the genres and I guess eras of a genre that I'm the most interested in, and yet I still haven't heard a single Led Zeppelin album. I've, you know, heard obviously every Beatles album and Doors album and stuff like that, but there are so many like albums out there. There's so many great artists out there, and so many important, you know, albums considered, you know, in hindsight, you know, in the longevity of the specific genres, whether it be rock or electronic or whatever it is, that it just gets like it's sort of like I get overloaded just like with all these different choices. It's like, where do I even start? So I start nowhere.
Yeah, no.
That's the best way to go about it.
I totally get that. It can be kind of exhausting just keeping up with music that's coming out currently, because like it's kind of uneven. Like some weeks nothing will drop, or like a couple things, and then other weeks like fucking 4 artists are releasing compilations or EPs or whatever the fuck, and you can get so caught up in that you just never go back to re-listen to stuff. Or you can just, you know, kind of just shut down and then go to the favorites playlist where it's safe, you know.
That's the story of my life.
Home base.
You forced me to listen to more music in like just today, and like I
gave you like a week.
You did. And literally, Tyler and Coupon God, you know, and I were playing Stardew Valley because I've been telling him that I was going to play for weeks. And yesterday I was just like, I need to play Stardew Valley right now. And, like, Kyle every wall in the county. So. And
then I was like, hey, you ready to record?
Yeah.
Hey there. Hey, you ready to go?
And I'm just like, yeah, just give me like a day. And so I listen to the singles, and I wake up today, and I crawl out of bed, and it's like almost 4, and I'm like, I need to shower and listen to more music than I've consumed in the last like week or two. So that'll be fun.
But
I got it done.
That's happened to me too. There was actually one time when we had an artist on. It was the this is bad because I can't remember the name right this second. But
you'll edit it out. Yeah.
But yeah, and I just waited until like the day of to listen to all the music, and I just didn't get through everything.
Oh my god.
And I like run the show, man. You know.
Yeah, you gotta like set a precedent.
Yeah, it's stressful. I pulled it off though. I think. I think the artist didn't listen to everything either, so it was fine. Worked out.
He's the artist. So.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of the singles that you listen to.
Yeah.
Actually, what were you gonna say?
Don't we have another? Oh well, I was just gonna say like the last time. Remember when I was gonna be on here when Finicheti was on?
Oh yeah.
And then the casual homelessness got to me. I couldn't end up doing it, which is so sad.
But that's an excuse though. That's an excuse though.
Casual homelessness. Is there a jetliner crashing into your home? I just heard.
Yeah. No, there's a plane going over my house. Yeah, I'm sorry. We don't have a recording studio. Things happen.
No, we're in the booth right now. Howard Stern is like 2 doors down. But
dude, I'd shit myself if I were working next to Howard Stern.
I mean, who wouldn't? Let's be honest. Yeah. But I was so prepared to argue about the validity of bbno money and Young Gravy as musical artists.
I couldn't. Oh man, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for that. Oh, I forgot to listen to Lalala. Well, actually, no. I listened to it, but I was gonna listen to it again and like write notes down. But no, I haven't done that.
You're fine.
Yeah, oh well. Yeah. I'll say something.
I mean, we still have like. Don't worry. Trust me. I can keep the conversation going on that song alone for like a good hour. But
I'll just let you take the wheel.
Yeah. That's probably for the best. But all right. So, where do you want to go from here? You're the host.
Still
have an EP.
Yeah. I know. I'm saving it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. But for now, let's actually just get through the singles. Because there's kind of a varying quality throughout these. I feel. Let's see. What's at the top of the list?
All My Friends.
All My Friends. Okay, Madeon. Okay, yeah. A little background on him. I'm sure most people watching this know, but he hasn't released anything besides this since 2016's Shelter, which was a single that he did with that he did with Porter Robinson. And before that, the last thing he released was the Adventure album from 2015. So like Madeon really hasn't released a lot. I actually hadn't heard Adventure. That was one of those albums I never got around to. But I figured I should listen to it in light of this coming out. And I actually like that a lot. I think I prefer it to Worlds by Porter Robinson. Because they're they kind of accomplish the same thing, but I think Madeon does it better. So yeah, that album's just chock full of really, really good synth pop, just great melodies, vocalists and all that. So I was kind of curious to see where his sound would go, like fucking 40 years later. And I don't want to say I don't like this, because I do like this song, but I don't think it's worth the wait. It's like the production is just kind of there. It does the job. And the vocals are catchy and soothing, and that actually counts towards Madeon's credit, because he is singing on this thing. So that helps me respect the track a bit more.
He's actually doing the vocals on it too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
that's
production and
interesting.
vocals. Yeah, and I always like artists that kind of go the extra mile and do that, like Savant and Laszlo. They've done that, but yeah, it's just kind of a chill vibe. There's not really a drop. There is a build up, but it doesn't really, explode or anything like that. It's just kind of a nice, catchy, well done synth pop song. But it's nothing. It's nothing that's gonna keep me coming back over and over and over again. And I'm hoping this is followed by an EP or album of some sort, because this definitely wasn't worth like 3 years of waiting. But I am glad I'm glad he's releasing music again. At least there's that.
what you got to think is, what if he's dropping like, dude, if you hear any background noise of the random country songs, I want to apologize. This is out of my control. I don't want you to get copyright struck, but it might happen because
I can barely. Oh, it just came through. It came. It
the second no,
it came through the mix.
Yeah, of course it did. Oh my God, shoot me. So anyway, yeah, what I was gonna say though, yeah, maybe he has something else. I didn't know that it. Obviously, I don't really know. You know, I don't keep up with a lot of these people, but I didn't know that it was that long. Maybe this is just like a little thing he's dropping, and then he's gonna smack you in the face with something else. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was weird the way he dropped this, because he was straight up just like, new song tomorrow, and then there was a new song.
Well, I guess he wasn't lying.
No, he wasn't. I kind of I kind of like that. Like that's funny, and I respect that. Just coming out like wait, wasn't there wasn't there like a pop artist that just kind of dropped new music like out of nowhere? Like it was like Jai Paul, not Jake Paul. Yeah. I don't know like what music he makes. I know that Don McLennan of Brockhampton was making tweets. He was just like, you people really don't know who this guy is, and I'm like, oops, I do not. And I look on Spotify, and he's got like 4 tracks, and I'm like, all right, how are you gonna expect me to know? Like, if the dude kind of just disappeared off the face of the planet, like, I'm sorry, my guy, I can't keep up with apparently
the music.
A bunch of people were like waiting on it though. Like I didn't know.
I mean, I've never heard of him. I guess that I'll probably end up checking some stuff out. If he has like a project that's gonna drop, I'll definitely end up saying that I'm gonna check it out and then never checking it out. But you know, it's I guess quite a common thing lately for some artists to just return out of nowhere and drop stuff. But yeah, anyway, back on the topic of the track, you know, my notes say, and quote, quite a chill, happy banger that I cannot relate to. And then in parentheses, make a joke about how you have no friends. So I figured it was probably just best to tell you what I thought would be a good note at like 6 a.m. this morning, as I was like about to fall into a coma. But yeah, so no, seriously though, I thought that it was a nice little track. Like you said, I don't know if it would have, you know, been worth the years of wait, but just coming into it, you know, with really no expectations, I thought that it was pretty nice. Something that I'd probably re-listen to.
Nice.
So yeah.
All right, next single. Bam. Fat, like fucking. Not fat, man. There's
fat.
There's no
2019.
There's a word I'm looking for, and like I know, and all that's coming to me is factory conveyor belt. No, like no. What the fuck am I thinking of? Just like what's the?
I don't know. You just go fat. Like, where am I supposed to go with that, dude?
Chime, Franky Nuts, the Arcturians, Ambition, Transition. Yeah. This is this is a fucking mega collab if I've ever seen one.
Is it a mega collab?
Yeah, I mean, like the Arcturians, I think are I think they're like 2 people, so that's 4. But yeah, no, Franky Nuts and Chime are both, well, like I guess you can't both be unique, but you know what I mean. They both kind of push this sound where it's like dubstep, and it's not melodic dubstep, but it's like it takes a more melodic tone. Like typically there's a melody in the drop. That's that's done with the bass noises. And that's something that I've respected them for a while. Franky Nuts, I think I like more than Chime a bit. Like Chime, like the songs from Chime that I really fucking like. But he's very hit or miss. And for the most part, he does miss. But some songs like Side Quest and Coins are really solid. So and the Arcturians, you know, like there's kind of a group of just vocalists that always do EDM tracks. Like they just do a shit ton of them. Like the Arcturians are one group. There's like Virus Syndicate, who are like a grime group. You know, there's a bunch of people like that. And the Arcturians I like. Grime. Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of with you there, but yeah, but the Arcturians are some of my favorite, just reappearing vocalists, because they get like they can really nail this dismal tone, this dramatic dismal tone that works well with bass music. So I was curious to see how all these artists would come together. And I think it's just about what I expected. There's it's like the drop is anything but generic. It spaces out the sounds that it uses pretty perfectly with a catchy melody to boot. There's like a double drop at the minute and 30-second mark that's like way heavier. There's a piano section that's catchy, and like there's 3 drops and they're all very different.
That's exactly one of the things that I was going to compliment it on.
Yeah. So yeah, this is really everything that I could kind of ask for this collaboration. It's like I think I got my expectations a bit too high, because when you see people collaborating, it's like it's going to be like the quality of a Chime song. Multiplied by the quality of a Franky Nuts track or whatever. But yeah, no, like this is just a very good track. I'd give it like an 8 or whatever. Not perfect by any means, but it's very enjoyable and heavy. So yeah, good shit. What do you think?
I pretty much agree with like everything you said. It had to be my favorite single out of the 4 or whatever. Well, technically 5 if you threw a Lalala in there, but no, yeah. Every drop, just hits so perfectly. The energy of the track it never faltered. Like when it built up, like it stayed consistently. Like, what am I looking for? It stayed good. It stayed very good. It was very good. It stayed.
It just like kept the energy level up there.
Yeah, the energy just stayed there, and it didn't like overdo it. It kept, like you said, it kept changing in this perfect way where it didn't change too much, but it changed just enough, to keep me interested throughout the track. And yeah, like I said, it had to be my favorite single, probably out of the 4. Certified banger. It was quite good. That's quite nice.
That's 2 thumbs up. All right, yeah, check it out. Okay, fat. Next one.
Is this your transition? Everything. Something. Fat.
Like
overweight.
Like
so obese.
Like
all right,
no. In the beginning, we were like, yeah, we're gonna improve on the transitions as time goes on, and that just never happened.
You're just giving into to making it as atrocious as terrible.
Speaking of never improving, that's real harsh. I'm sorry. But yeah, Slander and Said the Sky potions.
Yeah.
This is definitely the most disappointing track for me. I don't like that was crazy disrespectful, but like being honest here, I've never really liked Slander. And their tracks that I have enjoyed have pretty much all grown off me. Like I think I said that they're like the Headbangers Ball EP or whatever. I think I said that was fine. I don't really like that project anymore, in retrospect. But yeah, Slander's never really impressed me. Said the Sky has put out some tracks that I enjoy, but a lot of it is just kind of samey future bass that doesn't really have any sort of impact or unique charm. And that kind of just all piles up into this single right here. Like there's really nothing memorable about it. The vocals from JT Roach are kind of cool at some points because his voice gets like really high before the drop. But besides that, like the actual lyrics, nothing stands out to me. Like I don't know, it's just nothing. And it's kind of a shame because like even though I haven't liked these artists historically, I figured that 2 future bass producers that have amassed like this big of an audience would be able to make something that would stick with me. But this one just, I don't know, it's just totally forgettable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you're not alone. I found it extremely kind of generic and just I couldn't really think of anything else to say because it didn't really give me much to kind of comment on. It was just run of the mill. Nothing really stood out to me. it sounded like the stuff that I've been hearing for years, with no interesting spin on it, nothing to keep me invested in the track from front to back. It just kind of played out like a normal song, and it just kind of sounded cheap and just very uninteresting, I guess, is really the best way to put it.
Big brain opinion. Very
Big
good.
brain opinion.
Yeah. I like the album art. That's something. The art.
Let's see the album art.
It's a pretty good picture of potions. I don't know. Also, green is my favorite color, so that kind of helps out with that. The color scheme very much appeals to me.
The album art has green, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, man. Green and blue.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is a greenish blue.
All right. God, Slander fans are gonna hate me. Slander has a lot of fans. They're pretty big, and so said this guy at this point. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of funny. The first episode that aired, because we did a test episode beforehand, but the first one that aired, we talked about Said This Guy's debut album, and I think to this day that's like the most negative album review that we've had. And it was like the first thing that we talked about.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so like for the first 5 or 6 episodes, it was just a running thing, just sorry, said this guy. So yeah, sorry, said this guy.
Yeah.
Not you, Slander. Okay. Last.
Morbidly obese.
Fat. Okay. Kelsey Lou Due West Skrillex remix. This track is interesting for a couple of reasons. One, because Skrillex actually had a hand in producing the original. So I guess you could consider this a VIP of sorts. But yeah, that, and also this wasn't even really made to be released. This was made on the way to a show to be played at the show. And yeah, and they just were like, yeah, this is good, put it out. And I'm pretty happy that they put this out. This is a really catchy deep house track. The bass line is pretty great, and I like the way the vocals are positioned here, as opposed to in the original track, where they're kind of the fast section is kind of used in the build up as well, and then they kind of slow it down for when the beat kicks in. The vocal manipulation, the way the way Skrillex messes with Kelsey's vocals, just throughout, they're slowed and distorted in the drop at certain points, and I think that was really cool. And overall, this isn't anything groundbreaking, but it is very enjoyable, and it's also pretty impressive considering Skrillex has never done deep house before or anything kind of close to this. So it's nice it's cool to see that he can just nail it like this. And also the minute-long outro is really relaxing. It's nice that the track kind of takes its time a bit more. Yeah. Yeah, what do you think?
Did you listen to the origin?
I did at some point. I think I said I was gonna listen to it before recording, but
yeah, I listened to I think I listened to the remix first, and then I went back and listened to the original. I definitely say that it's an improvement, which I think that there's a certain split in kind of the audiences that would enjoy the original and the remix. Obviously, whenever there's a remix of songs like that, it's quite often that there won't be too many people that really enjoy both, since they're kind of made for obviously different groups of people. But the original, just didn't really stick with me. Kind of felt a bit slow. It was nice for what it was, but the remix, sped it up a bit. Great vocals. Who did the vocals?
Kelsey Lou.
Kelsey Lou. Yeah. I really like the vocals, and the remix, really kind of brought them out in an interesting way, which I've always found, remixes of songs like that so interesting, I guess, because of how it can kind of change, it can stick with the original artist's vision, but also mix it. It's like collaborating, except you have to work with what the original artist already did, which I think is pretty interesting. Just general statements on remixes and my thoughts on them, but yeah, I think that it definitely sticks the landing, and that's interesting that it was that it was kind of made on the way to the show, since I think that it's even more impressive since it was like that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Great vocals, good remix.
Nice. We're 2 thumbs up for the Skrillex remix then. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about that. So speaking of Skrillex, bada bing, bada boom, Dog Blood. Yeah. See that? Clever. That was a clever transition.
Yeah,
I set
I
that
like
up.
that.
I saved the EP. But I did it.
All your brain power the entire podcast has just been going to sticking that.
Yep.
That's perfect.
No, I've been nervous about it the whole time.
Yeah.
No, but okay.
Understandable.
Dog Blood is interesting to see in 2019 because they haven't released anything since 2013. In case you don't know, it's a side project of Skrillex and Boys Noise, both great artists. And the stuff they put out in 2013, which was Middle Finger and Middle Finger Part 2, both EPs. I thought they were good, but I liked each of their solo stuff more. But honestly, it's kind of not even worth it to compare this to their old stuff, just because it is so different. Their old stuff was more just, classic electro bangers and stuff, whereas this carries a more tribal sound throughout the whole thing. So yeah, I was curious to see where they would go, and they went with that, which is a sound that's been kind of pushed by people like Weewick and the Barong family members and shit like that. But yeah, let's see, where do I start with this? The first single that dropped was Turn Off the Lights, and that track I didn't like at first really at all, but then it grew on me, and that's kind of how I'm feeling about the rest of this EP too. Because once you get over how weird some of the tracks are, they become like really easy to just move to, and just get into. But I feel like they do need a couple listens at first. But yeah, with Turn Off the Lights specifically, it's just it's kind of the middle of the road with this EP, although it is quite good. The bit before like the third drop, where like the volume pans quickly between like the left and right headphones, like I think that's fucking awesome. Also just some of the sounds used, it's just got a good groove going. Break Law I think is most people's favorite track, and I can definitely see why. The Indian samples, like in the beginning, like it makes for a good build up, and same, and the vocal drops like in the drop are really well placed, and they kind of remind me.
That was my favorite by far.
Yeah, and they kind of reminded me of this kind of hip hop beat that Skrillex put out like just for this one video, but never actually released, called Friendly Fire. And it's cool to and they weren't, and that wasn't really in any of his other songs, so it's cool to see that kind of method come into an official release finally. Coco, I think is how you pronounce it. That's a strong contender for my favorite track on this thing. I haven't really decided because it changes super often. But like the main lead in that is super deep and just weird and kind of interesting to just hear progress. And then like the midsection's super peaceful, so I don't know. It's just a weird listen. And then For Mind is the last track on here, and it has X and G and Josh Pan, who both frequently collaborate, and they put out some really unique stuff. This one, I think, like I don't dislike it, but I think it's probably my least favorite. But it is kind of it is interesting to just listen to, because like the first drop is super minimal, and then all the second drop really brings in is like an 808. But I feel like it adds way more than you would initially think. Like it just fills it up. Way more than I thought it would. Overall, I'm feeling very positive on this thing. Like I'm not like over the moon about every track here, but they're all like none of them I would consider just like a normal, typical track from Skrillex or Boys Noise. It's just a very very unique project for the two of them. What are you thinking?
Well, like I said, Break Law, was absolutely great. I think it might have set my my standards and expectations to be kind of a bit high for this thing. Not to say that the rest wasn't good, but I really enjoyed Break Law. And then For Mind was, pretty good too. But like I said, that was like right after Break Law, and that one just really clicked with me. But it was quite a banger, Coco, like you said, I'm hoping that that's how you pronounce that.
Cuckoo.
Cocoa.
Yeah.
It seemed to maybe drag a little bit for me. Isn't that the longest track?
Yeah.
EP?
It's like 5 minutes, I think.
Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why, but it wasn't necessarily like excruciating. It just kind of lost my interest a little bit. And then the title track, "Turn Off the Lights," was pretty good as well. But I don't know. Throughout the entire thing, like I feel like I was just thinking about that first track that just really hit and clicked with me. But overall, I don't think that that's to say that the other three tracks are bad, because I think that they were all pretty good. None of them I really just started to completely lose interest or not want to listen to. But yeah, overall, pretty good. And yeah, this is another one that I'd probably this, even though I think I like Bass Buddies more. I
said this was close.
Yeah, it is close, and I think that there'd be like a higher chance of me fully revisiting this, as I feel like there's more to kind of digest throughout the entire thing.
That makes sense. There's definitely a lot more going on in every track here.
Yeah, and I did only listen to it, the one time, so I feel like I could probably listen to it again, at least once more.
I kind of agree with you that they. Well, I mean, I know you didn't say this, but I feel like Break Law shouldn't have been the first track, just because like it is very clearly way more energetic than the rest of the stuff on here. So it kind of sets your mood in a different place. Than the rest of the EP is set in.
Maybe like a third track.
Yeah.
A good placement for it.
Yeah, I'd even be okay with this thing closing with like "Turn Off the Lights" leading into it.
That could be a nice swap too.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. But like same with the Due West remix. A lot of stuff with Skrillex is super spontaneous. Like him and Boys Noise were just in the same place at the same time, and they were just able to whip up apparently they whipped up like a shit ton of ideas, and they just finished these four. So this is what we got. So I don't know how much thought went into the track listing and whatnot, but yeah, that's definitely one suggestion I would make. But yeah, I'd recommend checking this out. Just in general, if you listen to electronic music, just because there's a lot of weird sounds going on here. I feel like it's quite unique in today's soundscape or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But yeah, bada bing, bada boom. We're done with everything except for the big album, the big Xilent.
The big Xilent.
Yeah. Bobby, I'm actually gonna let you start with this.
Sure.
Okay.
I can start with it. No. Sure. I'm up for it.
You got this.
So basically, because listen, at this current juncture, electronic music, like I said, it's not exactly my strong suit with my tiny electronic listening brain. I'm not, the most well versed on it. I don't listen to it all the time. It just doesn't end up, usually clicking with me like hip hop and rock and stuff do, which I think that maybe part of that is due to frequent either lack of vocalist or just, these features and stuff. I don't know if that's why a lot of it just doesn't click with me or what, but it just ends up not, always being there. But there was a time when, like I briefly mentioned earlier, when I was a little tiny Call of Duty Black Ops 2 playing boy, and dubstep was the new thing. And, the first time, that I had really started hearing about this, obviously, I was just, hating on it to hate on it. And maybe in hindsight, some of it could have been, critiqued. since obviously it was extremely popular and everybody was trying their hand in it, it seemed. But I started to, listen to Skrillex specifically, and I really started to get into some of his music. And, I branched out listening to some more dubstep, and, it was kind of the cool thing with me and some other friends and stuff. So I kind of ended up knowing quite a bit about that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is mostly a dubstep album for the most part.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I would say that a lot of it ended up. I don't like random screaming in my home. So I'd say that a lot of it ends up kind of feeling reminiscent of the stuff that I used to listen to. And there were some times when it sort of reminded me of those times, but not so much to where it hindered it, to where it felt stale or whatever, anything like that. When I was listening to this, the atmosphere of it, of this like, post-apocalyptic thing that Xilent was
nailed it.
was going for. It kind of the entire time, going into this thing, I was thinking this is going to be like 45-ish or whatever, 45 minutes. 42, yeah. So right in that ballpark. No. So I was thinking, I'm going to end up dreading this by like 20 minutes in, but the entire time I kind of stayed pretty invested, and while it certainly isn't the most, structurally innovative album that I've ever heard or anything like that, I think that as far as dubstep goes, this is pretty good and pretty solid, throughout. Track by track, it flows really well, in my opinion, and it paints this this landscape sonically in a way that I don't think a lot of electronic music, but even properly managed to do, even when going for it. And I feel that that's definitely a plus that I can give it, is that when I listened to this thing, I was seeing, this sort of like the cover art and just stuff like that. This like, I don't know, robotic, world, I guess you could say.
Just like post-apocalyptic.
So, yeah, the post-apocalyptic world that it kind of was sonically representing. So I ended up liking it more than I thought I would. I was skeptical of the long runtime, and I definitely feel like there probably could have been some more variety. But overall, I liked it. I liked it quite a bit.
That's a very fair review. That works. Good shit. Also, congrats on like listening through like a 42-minute primarily dubstep album.
Yeah,
that's definitely not easy if it's not what you usually listen to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
it was easier than I thought. Like I said. Damn.
Congrats. All right, but
7.1289 out of 10.
Okay. Where does the you just gave Ramo a seizure.
Wherever he is, he just had a palpitation.
If he listened to this, his heart just stopped beating the moment he heard that. Someone call a medic.
Someone's putting an EpiPen in his arm right now.
Yeah. But okay, like for me, Xilent is kind of an interesting figure because I didn't really get back. Like, I've been listening to pretty much just electronic music since I've been listening to music, but I only really got into this sort of scene back in like 2016, late 2015. But with Xilent, I can say that I've actually been listening to him since like 7th grade, because back when I had my little iPod Touch and I had 5 songs, one of them was Xilent Boss Wave, which was like a video game inspired dubstep track that he did a while back. And it has a pretty popular music video, actually, because it came out when like dubstep was peaking in popularity. But yeah, this is his sophomore album. His first project, We Are Virtual, I went back and listened to after this album, and it's kind of interesting because this album focuses way more on just playing around with the basses and this glitchy kind of experimental thing. just much more focused on like the heavier side of things, whereas We Are Virtual is more focused on like the synth work and the melodies going on. So this definitely, like, it doesn't feel like another Xilent project. It feels like a different thing, and that's cool. It was also interesting hearing this thing now because Xilent has slowed down a lot. Because a few years back he started up this new alias called Tokyo Machine, and that's pretty much taken up like most of his time. I think we've had a few releases here and there, but for the most part it's just been Tokyo Machine. And then to see him come back with this was pretty huge for me, because this is one of my I'd say it's one of my favorite albums that I've heard this year so far. The tracks flowing into each other pretty seamlessly, like that was great. I really appreciate that. Albums that do that.
That's a big plus for me.
Yeah. Like, not every transition is perfect, but it's never distracting. So, so I'm okay with that. That gets a pass. It opens up really strong. I feel like From Dust into You Rise was probably the best transition, because it was just the intro going into that track. And the drop in You Rise is probably one of my favorites here. Let's see, what else? Interludin'. I thought that was just going to be an interlude when I first heard it, but it wound up being like a full thing. It has like a 2-minute...
being an interlude in.
Yeah. Like the thing's got a 2-minute build-up, and a drop that's fucking brutal. It might be the heaviest thing on the album. Human Error and Discarded, they're like relatively simple, like in structure, compared to the rest of the album, but they hit really hard. And Discarded has this like percussion mix-up in the second drop that was like I haven't really heard those patterns before, so that was cool. And like I said with We Are Virtual, it focuses more on like the melodies and the synth work with some like bass music on the side. Like this has that synth work on the side, and it's just as good as ever. Like whenever it is just a melody and one, like one synth doing the work, it feels like it really stands by itself. What else? Not every track was a direct hit for me. Like Blue Shadows was interesting, but nothing I'm really looking to come back to. And To Dust was like the one calm track near the end of the album that a lot of the times dubstep artists are able to make garage music that's surprisingly good. Like Virtual Riot, he typically has one in each of his EPs, but this one just kind of felt more empty to me. But besides that, I'm pretty into pretty much every track here. Particles is one that everyone's talking about as well, which I think closes the album. Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's got like a psytrance switch up, like a dubstep drop, and then also a future bass drop, which is fucking crazy. And they're also in the perfect order, I think, with the intense drop coming first, then the psytrance drop being like, intense but not as heavy, and then the future bass drop being more of like a triumphant way to finish it off.
Yeah, it was a really good closer.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go into every single track here, even though I think I've been through like all but 3. But point is, I think that if you're into bass music, then you'll be impressed by the stuff going on here. I know like the Monster Cat community is holding this album in like ridiculously high regard, because that's kind of what they do. They're weird. But even though that's like all my audience.
I was gonna say, isn't that like a good amount of people?
Large portion. But yeah,
weird in a good way.
Yeah, I wouldn't put this as like definitive album of the year, but it's definitely one of the takeaways from 2019. I think that's gonna be like looked back on. So yeah, huge thumbs up from me. Moderate thumbs up from you, right? Nice.
It was a pretty big thumbs up for me.
Oh, word, nice.
It was a decently big. Like I said, 7.1, whatever I said earlier.
Yeah. Seven is a high score. God damn it.
Yeah. I mean, seven's a good album. A lot of people are just like, "Oh, you're only giving this a 7, dude? You're giving this a 7? This album deserves a 9.8, and you're giving it a 7. Like a 7 is positive. Even a 5 is just like,
people,
all right.
People get pissed,
average.
People get pissed at me when I give things a 6 out of 10 because because I count 6 as like good, and then 7 is like great, and 5 is just did nothing for me. But like everyone's rating systems are kind of skewed nowadays.
Yeah, everyone is just like, I like this. It's 9.
Yeah, don't like it too.
I do not like this. This 2. This 1.
Like I'll only give something a 10 out of 10 if it's like literally perfect for me. Like I don't even have an album that I would give a 10 out of 10. I just kind of give those to individual tracks.
Yeah, I'd say I have a few, but to get a 10, there has to be like something so specifically, like it has to be the perfect storm of an album. It has to either, actually that's a good question. What would it take for an album to be a 10 for you? That's a good question.
Like the thing is, I don't know, because like I have a playlist of songs that I gave 10 out of 10s called the Big Boys.
Big Boys.
Yeah, but like the thing with each of them is that it does everything that's kind of like expected from a track of whatever genre it is, and then it exceeds that, and it like builds upon it, expands upon the idea more, or there's just sounds that I've never heard anywhere else. And I can just, I can tell this was worked on a lot.
Yeah.
So there's even my favorite artist, like Space Laces, there are only 3 tracks of his that I would give a 10 out of 10. So for an album to be a solid 10, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think it's too much to ask that of every single track there. I do think that's too much, because I don't even really come across a track that I give a 10 out of 10 very often. So for an album to hit that, I don't know, I think it would have to, it has to succeed in never losing my interest, not overstaying its welcome, and I guess be sonically diverse while still feeling like it's a project, not feeling like a compilation or anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a a lot of people will just be like, I really like this album, it's 10, we were talking about, but you have to view it from a critical way. You have to for me, God, I have a chart, the music chart that absolutely everybody seems to have nowadays. But even looking at this, I mean, it's a bit outdated now, but one of the main things is are you viewing it from the time period that it was released? Because, for instance, what I would say, one of my favorite albums, just for an example, Animals by Pink Floyd. I'm sure that you haven't heard it, but
nope. Sorry.
It's all right. I didn't really expect you to, but that. Probably some Beatles albums, but with all of these, you're going to find people that dislike the album, and they're going to have reasons. So you can't just look at it from a completely critical way, because there are obviously things that certain albums are never going to hit. If you're looking at the Beatles, considered to be one of the greatest bands. Obviously, I'm a fan of them, but you look at a lot of people nowadays, and they're just they're overrated, which, I mean, we can get into that debate all day, but regardless, they're saying that for a reason. Usually the lack of, musicianship, I guess. Okay, can you please talk a little bit louder? So, obviously there are going to be things that albums, like Abbey Road or the White Album, just still using the Beatles as an example, they're not going to necessarily be these great a lot of metal albums will have these intense riffs and these really intricate guitar parts and fast drumming and all this stuff, but it's I think that for me to give an album a 10 out of 10, there has to be a certain, maybe not necessarily a certain concept that hits perfectly, although I think that's a big plus. I would say that for an album to get a 10 out of 10, it has to do completely what it's meant to do. You know what I mean? And do it so perfectly that it can kind of stand the test of time. And that's the thing too, like if you're going back in time at albums that were released, you know, a decade, 2 decades, 5 decades ago, it can also be hard to judge those because it's so easy to say that some of those old albums are like 10s out of 10s, 10 out of 10s, yeah. But you also have to look at it from that era and then the influence that it had. So in that way, it can kind of be like those older albums can kind of be lost in time, like in terms of how people view them, because it's always going to be skewed looking at it from like the stuff that it influenced and stuff. You know what I mean? Like if one of those older albums came out, I guess it can't be fair to say today, but if you were back in time and looking at that album, would it still be a 10 out of 10? Like, could you have the foresight to know everything that it influenced? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm really just rambling at this point, but I find it very interesting.
Like I mean, like everything you said makes sense. Like in like a 10 out of 10 album, like it has to be a 10 out of 10, like 10, 20 years from when it was released, not just when it was released. I think doing everything that it sets out to do is important. That's something that's important to note. Because you know, because you know, let me think of an example here. Say someone takes lyrics extremely seriously and that's like their main thing, and then they go and listen to like a revolutionary dance music album or like just electronic music album in general, like like they're probably not going to enjoy it, but if it does everything that it sets out to do, not like, you know, not including lyrics, then I think that's fine. And
you can never hit every single thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
because then it just becomes clustered.
Yeah. And like, while I don't have a 10 out of 10 personally, a lot of you know, like a lot of other people that I know, just they like you know, they obviously do. There's one reviewer who reviews like basically just electronic music called The Wonky Angle. And one of his 10 out of 10s is Orbital Insides, which came out in the 90s. Which I think is I think and I think that's interesting that something like that could stand the test of time, whereas some albums that came out in like 2005, like Scream's self-titled album that kind of launched dubstep primarily, that was revolutionary at the time. Nowadays there's some of the, like, some synths just sound terrible now. They just didn't age well. You know, just production methods are sloppy and stuff. So yeah, 10 out of 10 album for me. I don't know. Maybe I could find an EP or something, but I don't know. I'm just kind of doubting it, because like even albums that I really love, or I guess this is an EP, but like say Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. I love most of the tracks on there, but then there's also like Scata, which I'm not a huge fan of.
And that's the thing too.
Yeah, and
track by track. Can one track?
It's always
like
it's always kind of unfair, because like there's gonna be a track that's at the bottom of like your ranking or whatever. Like you're gonna have a least favorite when compared to like the top stuff on the album. It's probably not that good, or well, just it seems less impressive. Like even on the Xilent album, like From Dust, I think, or To Dust. Like whichever one the garage track was, like I don't like that track that much, but I like the rest of the album enough that I'm, you know, like giving it a high rating, probably like an 8.5, not quite, maybe even a 9. I don't know. I have to sit on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what would make a 10 out of 10 album for me. I think I just need to hear one, for me to know, because I'm kind of working off nothing here. But
I have, God, looking just like at my chart list, I think I could, at this current juncture, confidently say that like at least like 4 or 5 of these would have to be extremely close to being a 10 out of 10. Like To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick, Fantano gave it a 10. A lot of people always say that that's a 10. I certainly wouldn't say that's overhyped. One of the greatest albums I've heard, has done nothing but grow on me. Pink Floyd, Animals.
What's holding T-Pab back? Because you're saying that's close to a 10, right?
I don't know. I'd have to say, God, it would have to be a 10. Honestly, like it's one of the most. I would say that if I had to give like an album a 10, like logically speaking, it would have to be that. Just some of the production, the rapping, the concept that goes, from the front to back, all sort of building up into the skit at the end. I guess kind of a skit, in a more serious conceptual way, not yo. But
Yarp.
Yeah. Yarp. But yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. For an electronic album, I would have nowhere. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like if you
Pick a
handed me an
10.
album.
Find one. Just fucking good
Yes.
luck.
All right, electronic album random generator.
I'm curious as to what pops
Album.
up.
Yeah, I don't even know what would pop up. I wasn't actually searching it.
Oh, all right.
But electronic
your-
album.
Your mechanical keyboard noises convinced me.
Yeah. You hear clicking and it sounds official. Oh,
Yeah.
That guy knows what he's talking about.
He knows what's up. Maybe you should,
Yeah, dude.
run for president. Just like bring a mechanical keyboard to every debate. just whenever they start talking, just.
Mr. 3sia, how would you cure the tensions between the U.S.
Hold
and
on, let me
North
just
Korea?
type up my master thesis real quick.
Yeah, everyone in the crowd is like, oh, this guy knows.
He knows
I'm
what's
voting
up.
for him.
Vote for Amn3sia.
Just like a nuclear summit or something. Just sitting there.
This whole
Every
thing
world
is-
leader just cowers in fear, gives up their nukes.
And then all of a sudden, like a key falls off, and then your downfall begins.
That's my Watergate.
Yeah. He's missing the backspace.
Yeah, dude.
He can't make corrections.
My God. There it is, dude. Or God forbid, like I missed the E key.
Oh,
Everything is just. That'd be it. That would be it, dude. Impeachment right there.
You could manage without a space bar. You have.
Yeah, dude. Underscore or just capitalize.
Just capitalize every single word.
Yeah. See? We're thinking now. We got this.
Yeah.
2036, everybody. Vote for me, and I will click on my keyboard.
This whole thing is just to plug your presidential run. 2036. Let's go.
The entire time, dude. Forget about electronic music. We are here for a political
This is politics.
revolution. Yeah.
Speaking
There
of
we
that,
go,
I
dude.
think it's about time to wrap things up. We're out of music.
Yeah. Wait. We are forgetting one final wild card.
Oh Christ.
Lalala.
La. Y2K and Baby No Money. Okay, yeah.
Banger.
Yeah,
10
okay.
out of 10.
Okay. I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't download it.
You're supposed to say that it's a banger and that it's 10 out of 10.
Banger 10 out of 10.
There we go.
I got it with the amount that he was hyping it up. I thought it was the mixtape, but
Yeah, I thought that too at first, and then Y2K was just like, yeah, first single from my album or EP or whatever coming out June 7th, and I was like, oh,
it's kind of funny because I like Stucco so much. That's like my favorite Baby No Money track.
Stucco is good.
No one else seems to share that. Everyone's like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, no, it's the best.
I mean, I don't know about the
Yeah.
best, but it is really good.
Yeah. So obviously I like that one a lot. But then I haven't really liked like a single other Y2K and Baby No Money collaboration so far. I didn't like the closing track on Recess. I forget what it is.
Thankful?
Thankful. That's
Well,
no.
our friendship didn't need to continue. No.
and then there was the one that he released previously. That has like a weirdly compressed. Is that
Yeah,
the
I
one
didn't
with the
really care for
weirdly
Pouch
compressed
with
picture?
the whispering stuff?
Let me check. Wait. Yep,
Oh,
it's
where it's
Pouch.
like,
It's Pouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
Didn't
like a
care too
beat
much for
drop that wasn't really that good. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm still
Yeah, I
hopeful.
didn't.
I'm still hopeful.
I like Lalala, honestly. Like, you don't even know how many. Dude, if I check my last FM right now, I literally just had it on in the background yesterday when I was playing Stardew Valley with Coupon, and yeah, 27 plays already.
Holy
I have a
shit.
problem, dude. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like the melody. The little skit in the beginning gave me a good little laugh.
Yeah, I didn't.
So,
Yeah, I didn't
I'm
hate it.
enjoying it.
I didn't hate it by any means. I like the
Mhm.
guitar.
I like it more than Pouch.
Yeah, same here.
I was kind of disappointed. with
I
Pouch,
still have
but
hope for this tape.
So do I.
But
Well, actually, I think that
Baby
this
No
is the
Money,
first single.
If you Pouch
I don't
has
think that-
Pouch has to be the single.
I think Pouch was technically a Baby No Money song.
No,
And
it's,
I think
it's,
that this
it
is
says
just gonna
Baby No
be-
Money and Y2K on the thing.
Well, it's Baby No Money with Y2K, but then if you look at if you look at La La La, it primarily
Oh.
shows Y2K first. So I think that that's going to be the first song or the first single from whatever he's doing. So I think that it's going to be a Y2K project, and I don't know if it's going to be Y2K and Baby both, but I don't know. The way that he made it sound is that it's just going to be Y2K. I don't know though.
Also, back in like March or April or something, Baby No Money was like new album in August. So
Yeah, he did say that, and
Yeah.
I think he said with Y2K.
so I guess that's when it's coming out.
I think he said that. I don't know. We'll have to just wait and
Yeah.
see. But La La La,
Well-
I'm enjoying it. Tyler and I-
We'll have you back on the podcast for like one segment just to talk about
Good.
that Baby No Money Y2K.
Good. Look forward to me, future presidential candidate Amn3sia, back in a few months, in a few short months. But
Part 2 in
yeah,
August.
Coupon and I named our farm. It instantly tacks farm on at the end, so we named it Fa, so it's Fa Farm. We were laughing way too hard at that last night,
Farm.
dude.
There's a Mama
Fa-
Money
fa-
shot. There's just Farm.
Yeah, Fa Farm, dude.
All
Come
right.
buy our crops.
Let's see. How
We
long
collect
have you
oysters.
been going? Hour 30. Hell yeah. That's
That's a
good.
good time.
All right. In that case, I'm gonna wrap things up.
It's probably time.
How do I do this? It's been a while. Thank you so much for listening / watching. If you've made it this far, huge thanks from us. Everything that we talked about is linked to Spotify in the description, as are timestamps. Hopefully they're in the timestamps don't matter now. But yeah,
You link to Spotify and not Apple Music. Just throw that out there.
I know Spotify is more popular. What do you want me to do?
When
but
I
yeah.
come back in August, we're gonna have a debate over that.
Oh Christ!
Apple versus Spotify.
I like Apple Music more. I'm pissed that they're getting rid of iTunes. Closing the podcast. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
IMG is going to be on for the next episode, so look forward to that. And yeah, I'm going to reveal the guest. We're going to have Gabe on, who most of the people watching should probably know, even though he's a small artist. So
Yeah, I don't.
yeah.
Is that the one from Good Luck Charlie or like?
No, there's no way you'd know him. He's super small right now,
Oh, okay.
but very good. And we're gonna talk about IDs and stuff. So stay tuned for that. Fake music only. We're back for good.
Good.
Until school starts again.
GG.